Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. In today's video I'm going to bring you my monthly community wish list, this time for update 1.42. Now obviously a few days prior to this you would have seen my personal wish list quite a few days ago at this point, but this time around I've took a bunch of your guys' comments, so my favourite suggestions and stuff, and bundled them into a nice little video. Now I've tried to stay away from ones that maybe kind of repeat what I was kind of talking about in my own personal wish list. And there is quite a few very unique ones that I really do like the idea of. So let's get straight into them. Okay, so the one that I saw the most out of absolutely anything, obviously compared to some of the things that I already mentioned in my own previous video, was actually the mission challenges. It does seem that a lot of people really do want more of these, and yeah, I actually fully agree. Mission challenges, obviously we've not seen any new ones, I think, since the endurance events were added, but again, that was very close to the actual release of GT7. I think only coming maybe a month, 2 months at most, actually down the line from the actual launch of the game. Since then we've seen literally nothing. We've even had the likes of master license tests, and we've been given additional license tests since we've actually seen any other mission challenge. So fully agree there. This was one that absolutely flooded the comment section, and yeah, I absolutely love these things. They're really cool little challenges. Again, you can do plenty with them, whether that's drag, drift, endurance events, you know, cone challenges. They're just absolutely a key part of Gran Turismo 7 and something that's very, very enjoyable, and I really do hope we get to see more of these going into the future. Okay, next up, this is something that also includes the mission challenges, but it's a little bit different. So part of the mission challenges is actually drag events, and it seems that a lot of people really want drag racing in Gran Turismo 7, and I kind of agree. Whilst I'm not really a drag racer myself, I don't really find too much fun in it, there does seem to be a massive outpouring in the community that drag racing should be there, and well, yeah, they've proven they can do it. It is part of those mission challenges, and I would love to see maybe a separate game mode, just kind of like the drift trials that we have, but fully focused on drag racing. Again, this was another one that came up a lot. It was something that I've kind of overlooked, maybe because it's not necessarily to my personal taste, but I know there is plenty of people out there that like doing their own community lobbies and such, just purely doing sort of rolling drag races and stuff like that, and I fully agree. I do think it would be a fully worthwhile feature in GT7. Hopefully, you know, if it was to be implemented, it should be something like the drift trials that we see, where, you know, it's kind of its own separate thing, and we can, you know, fully take part in many different drag races, maybe customize the AI that we're running against, you know, obviously run different vehicles in drag races, full-blown drag tires and drag specs. It would be absolutely awesome. So yeah, fully agree with this one. Moving on next, this is another sort of, I guess, event point, and one that again I see absolutely everywhere: 24-hour races. Now, it's a little bit of a love-hate relationship with this when it comes to polyphony and these events. Obviously, we've not really seen them properly for what seems like absolutely forever. They've always kind of been cut down or shallowed out as far back as I think Gran Turismo 6. I think the last time I remember them properly being in a Gran Turismo game was all the way back in Gran Turismo 5, and they were absolutely amazing. Now, again, for a lot of players, this might be, you know, maybe too much. You know, people might not want to keep the consoles on for 24 hours. People might want to, you know, just not do these events. Or, however, having the option there to do them as a curated, I guess, set of events in line with something like the 1 hour endurances that we saw would be absolutely incredible. And again, a lot of people go back to that letter that Kaz put out when GT7 released, and there was a lot of complaints and such. And at the same time, it's really, you know, how do we actually take that? You know, they were promised that the 24-hour events would come. However, are they going off the assumption that we mean 24-hour as in a full rotating cycle, so maybe, you know, squeezed down into an hour period, or did they actually mean that they want to bring full 24-hour events? Now, for me personally, I absolutely love these events. They're just timeless classics. Endurance events in GT7, you know, they kind of go hand in hand together, and I really do want to see more. So yes, fully agree. Hopefully 24-hour endurance events do come along to the game, at least at some point in GT7's life cycle. So this next one is a very unique point. It's actually the only time I've ever seen this mentioned in over a year of doing these videos. So shout out to one of my league racers, Nizam, who actually put this one forward and across as a point. And that is the ability to have the mirror set or available basically for all of the camera angles. So if you kind of know what I mean by this, the mirror cam or the mirror itself only shows up in the bumper cam at present. It's not actually available, as far as I know or that I'm aware of, for any other camera angle. It is just that one camera view that you actually get to see the mirror up. You can kind of see what's going on behind you without having to constantly look back and stuff. Now, come to think of it, one of the things I always felt missing, especially for the likes of the hood cam and stuff, is actually the mirror itself. Having the ability to toggle this on or off would be absolutely amazing. You know, again, for most camera angles this would work very, very well. The only real way it wouldn't necessarily work is if obviously we've got the sort of in-car view, but still having the option to toggle it on and off would be great. Obviously we do have mirrors in the car and such, so we can, you know, roughly make out what's going on by looking through those, but definitely having the virtual mirror to be toggled on and off in all camera angles would absolutely be a game changer, especially with not having to constantly look back. You can keep your eye on the road but still see what's going on behind you. Again, for me, it's the main reason I sort of race in bumper cam when I'm being competitive, because I want to see what's going off behind me. You know, can I anticipate an overtake coming? Again, it just makes much more sense than constantly having to check the likes of the radar and such. So again, thanks to Nizam for recommending this point. Okay, so this one's a little bit of a different point. This was made by Kinetic over on my Discord server. This is one that I've not necessarily thought about, but it would be absolutely incredible. So obviously with the World Series stuff, we have, you know, sort of very few championships to choose from. So the main ones are obviously nations and manufacturers, one catering to obviously national racing, and obviously racing for your country. And the next one is obviously manufacturers, so picking a manufacturer and stuff and then going through a season with them. He goes on to basically suggest that they should add more to this, more championships. And whilst, you know, again, I couldn't necessarily see it working maybe in the sense of sort of the world finals and such. Obviously we already have three like the Toyota Cup and, you know, the nations and manufacturers already, but in the sense of maybe some sort of offshoot championships alongside these, or maybe even smaller championships, I could definitely see some additional championships being made and really being able to work. It would be absolutely awesome to see different championships come alive, maybe different cars then being shown off because of it. Again, I know we have some regional championships that are all about sort of, you know, where you are in the world. So I believe there's sort of like the Porsche one for the United States, there's some Mazda ones, some Honda ones and stuff. A lot of those, especially in Europe and the UK, we don't necessarily get to see, but I would absolutely love some ones that are sort of worldwide but also different from both the nations and the manufacturers. Obviously keep them running, they're the main show, but having some extra ones to take part in, maybe not having the sort of the world finals celebrations with them, but just something a little bit different to showcase other different vehicles within GT7 would be absolutely incredible. So fully agree there. So another good one that I actually took note of, but I can't remember who actually put it, was the ability to do manual pit stops. So what do I actually mean by manual pit stops? So currently in GT7, when you go to take a pit stop, you will essentially get a cutscene, or it'll just kind of cutscene you to the pit lane. All of a sudden your car will pull in, you select your tyres, you put your fuel in, and you go. You know, you sort of spawn back at the beginning, at the exit of the pit lane, and that's pretty much it. What this is meant to be is the ability to maybe drive ourselves through the pit lane, or maybe just kind of see more of the pit lane of the car driving through. I think it mainly aims towards the ability to actually be able to fully control the entire pit stop. So enter the pit entrance, drive ourselves through, get in our pit box, obviously then put the tires, the fuel in, and then drive ourselves back out like you actually would in a real race. Instead of going to these cutscenes, we've got full control over the pit stop. So fully agree with this one. Again, I can't find the original point or where it was made. I just remember seeing it and taking a note of it because it was a very interesting one. It's not really something, again, that I've thought about, a bit like the mirror one, where it sort of just kind of slips your mind, but it would be an amazing addition. I'd absolutely love to be able to have total control over my pit stop, and, you know, again, maybe even the ability to pick up penalties if we sort of go over the speed limit in the pit lane and such. This would be absolutely incredible for those longer endurance races. Okay, so this is a little bit different. There was also obviously the comment about different I guess, sport mode championships, but this one relates to the championships themselves that are part of the single player campaign. We haven't seen any new ones since launch, and you know, there's a ton of people basically saying let's get more of those in, and I fully agree. It's definitely an underutilized feature. You know, there is so much potential that you could do with these championships, or maybe even the ability to make our own. That would be absolutely incredible. You know, it's always cool to run off a point system. For me personally, I would love to see it being a custom championship, so we can kind of make it as long as we want. We can run an entire calendar. It sort of saves in the background. You can sort of jump in any time, and obviously continue taking part in that championship. So fully agree here. Custom championships or more championships themselves would absolutely be incredible. I really want to see this feature more heavily used in GT7. Okay, and one last final point. This is one that I think a lot of people really kind of gravitate to. The ability to have more cars on track. Again, if we're kind of talking single player, I think it's upwards of 20. And I'm pretty sure with multiplayer, it's limited at 16 no matter what. That is the absolute maximum you can get. And I fully agree. I would love to see massive grids. You know, maybe just even if it was 5-10 more cars added to that grid, and just the ability to really stack these grids up. Obviously, maybe more for single player, and obviously with sport mode, maybe put it back to the likes of 20. So yeah, I fully agree here. More cars on track, I just feel would be absolutely incredible. Do I necessarily think it's, you know, doable? I guess I think this is the main concern, is will it kind of have a knock-on performance on certain consoles? Obviously for me, I don't think the PS4 would be able to handle it. The PS5 itself is getting a little bit older now, and obviously there's the rumored PS5 Pro and stuff, so maybe when that comes out, maybe utilize it and get more of these AI on track at once. I just feel like it'll be absolutely incredible. Now obviously I don't necessarily think in terms of the single player that they'd be able to do this with Sophy. They've already got that running at like 20 cars, which is absolute madness. So I guess in reality, you know, being able to do this with the standard AI and just get more of them on track would be, I guess, at least a little bit easier than having to obviously stack it with Sophy. So, you know, maybe it is doable on a PlayStation 5, who knows? But yeah, fully agree, more cars on track at once would be absolutely epic, especially for sport mode. Sometimes the grids feel just a little bit too short, so maybe upping that to the likes of 20, and then obviously with a single player, maybe 25, 30 at the max would be absolutely awesome to see. So there we have it. That is the community wish list. Thank you so much to everyone that made these comments. There was just that many that I couldn't necessarily take all of them in each and individually. Again, there's some really cool unique points here, and it does seem that obviously the more regular ones that obviously don't repeat, I guess, what I've already mentioned in my own personal wish list, really do kind of stand out, as there's, you know, it's just kind of quality of life change at this point. It's all about kind of, I guess, improving certain smaller aspects of the game, but again, these small changes could lead to a much more improved product overall. Thanks so much for taking part in this, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.